Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Chakra Wisdom Tarot by Tori Hartman. Artwork by, wrong way, Katerina Sokolova. It's below the world. Her name is below the word tarot. Their name is. There's websites here. Watkins Publishing. I think on this one it says .com. There's also watkinspublishing.co.uk. And then there's torihartman.com. The other box here, Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards, also by Tori Hartman, but the illustrations are by Gretchen Raish Baskin. Same websites, except in the black little strip you can see watkinspublishing.co.uk and of course torihartman.com. So feel free to check any of that out that you might want to if you decide you want to. Okay, what do we have for Capricorn? Ace of Coins, first one out. So that's good. That's real good for Capricorn. Why is it so far out? Something. This is progressing somewhere. Okay, so I mean, all right. So is life. Okay. You're starting off with the Ten of Coins, too. Ace of Coins, Ten of Coins. Good cards for you. Very, very, very good cards. These are Earth. These are positive Earth cards. As long as the accompanying energy around the situation is good, this is something that's going to stay. It does feel very good, very compatible. I don't think any of your cards are bad. The only thing I'm worried about is kind of like, you got this Ace of Pentacles, which to me is like a seed, a very strong seed, a sapling even, if you will. It's meant to grow, it's meant to go farther, it's meant to flourish, it's meant to be more. Slow and steady growth, dependable growth, but it's not meant to stay confined. It will not hit, if you try to confine it, it's going to cause problems. So confining this is a bad idea. Being aware of how it's going to grow and helping it grow. It's kind of like, again, like a very strong seed. If you know what it needs, if you know how much heat it needs, how much light it needs, how much water it needs, how much fertilizer it needs, what type of fertilizer it works best with, how much shade it works best with, you know, stuff like that, the climate. Do you keep the soil more damp or you keep it more dry? The more you know, the more you keep it where it's supposed to be, the more you tend to it, the stronger, the more you're going to yield from this. Although I do recognize it depends on what you're dealing with and if you want that to yield more or not. It's kind of like this tree, if this was a tree, for example, could end up taking over the yard. Do I really want that? If I don't, how can I control that so it doesn't end up taking over the yard? Yet I still have my tree. I see, I'm giving that example of like a tree, right? And I don't want it taking over the yard. How do I handle that? But then I'm getting this as your challenge card. You're not going to be able to restrict this. If you try to restrict it, I'm going to use that tree example again. You try to restrict it too much, it's not going to keep it where it is. It's either going to break through those boundaries or it's going to die. It's very harsh, but it's either going to push through, and when it pushes through those boundaries, you're not going to be happy, or it's going to die, and then you're not going to be happy with having to clean up what's left of the tree and pull that out and starting over. That's not going to make you happy either. So they're giving you this heads up. What it is, whatever this is going to grow. You have a lot of time to plan for it because it's going to go in its own way. Especially when I see the Queen of Coins showing up later, which is the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Earth. This, whatever the situation is, it's already moving forward and it's already made its mind up. It's going to move forward. You may have some say about where it goes, like, for example, the tree thing. You might be able to prune the branches a certain way so that you can get the mower around it very easily. You might be able to like make it a taller tree rather than a wider tree. You might have that ability. Maybe. There may be some negotiation, but there's not going to be total negotiation, if you follow me. You're going to kind of have to work with it, because it's kind of like, I'm talking about the branches of the tree, right? The branches going up. but the roots are going to do what the roots want to do. The roots are going to go where the roots need to go, and if there's a water source that the roots catch on to, it's going to go right for the water source, whether we like it or not. You can also plan for that ahead of time, realizing where that water source is and trying to find a way to plan for that and get ready for that. This does seem like it's a good thing. It is going to take a lot of planning and thinking. It's not going to change fast. It's going to change slow, and as it keeps changing, you'll be able to adapt as necessary. But I feel like what they keep saying is like it's definitely going to grow, and it's going to grow in its own way. You'll have some adaptability, some negotiation power, but not a lot. It's more about seeing where it's going and getting ready and making sure it works more to your benefit and less to your detriment. A lot of like whatever's going on here, it's I'm seeing these cards. This is where it already is. Joy, perseverance, and then the Ace of Wands here, which is a lot of strength coming forward. It's not all coming forward at once though, but this is like what's behind it. There's a very strong force trying to get out, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to persevere and get its goal. It will, whatever this is. So if you're dealing with a person, they have a goal in mind, even though there's this energy may look like it's just a flash in the pan. It's not. It's fire that's going to become more earth. It's definitely going to keep going. And one of the things that are sustaining it is the passion behind it. So whatever it is, there's a strong drive, a strong will, and this is what it wants. Whatever this is, it's got a drive to keep going. It's got a drive all its own. It's not going to take any prisoners on the way either. It's not very negotiable once it gets far enough down the line. Wherever it wants to go, it's already made up its mind. If you're in the way, then you're in the way. I'm going to have to run you over. Just fair knowing that. Just fair notice on that. But you'll see, if you're paying attention, which I think you are, I'm pretty sure Capricorn usually is pretty astute as things keep moving forward. You're going to see this moment way before it comes. You'll work with it. You'll roll with it. You're like, nah, I'm not going to be in the way because I know what's going to happen there. I'm not going to lay down in front of the steamroller just to die. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. I feel like you have the ability to make peace with this. As long as you see where it's going, it's kind of like the river is going where the river is going. You can make that more lucrative and more kind of like, yeah, I know where that's going. I simply prepared for it. And I knew like when that happened there, I was going to do this. When this happened here, I was going to do that. And I'm doing it the way I need to. I don't get to decide everything, but I get to react to everything, seeing it come forward. I'm ready to react the way I want to react. It can be a really great thing. There is some wild card energy here with the mysticism. A little bit of a wild card, but it's kind of like not a total wild card for you. For example, the river's going to go where the river's going to go. Maybe it doesn't go exactly the direction you think, but you're like, I knew it was going to go along the route of gravity. I knew it was going to go downhill. You know, I knew it wasn't going to go uphill. Once it got past a certain point, it was going to keep going downhill. It wasn't going to backtrack and go back up the hill. I knew that. But it going left versus right, maybe I didn't know if it was going to go left or right, but I knew it was going to keep going downhill. And when it goes left or right, it's still going to keep going downhill. And it's going to go left or right again. So it's kind of like you have that much you can see that much ahead. I don't know exactly where it's going to go is kind of how I feel you're looking at it, but I know it's going to keep going downhill. You got that much going to your benefit. Okay, so I'm seeing this Four of Cups, and I'm like, what is the Four of Cups? There might be some adversity here. There's going to be snags. Whatever this is, once it keeps moving forward, it's kind of like the river again. You can't back it up and redo it. It's just going. I mean, you could try to redirect it. I don't know. I think if you ask me, it's really hard to redirect a river. It's probably possible in many cases. Probably. I'm not going to guarantee that. But the effort behind that it's a lot. It's a lot. And I feel like there's some of this counterproductive energy kind of wanting to redo some of this situation that's just not going to be, it's just not going to be feasible. Be aware of that. When that happens and people want to go backwards and redo things that are already done, Like, they're already done. You really can't do it. It's kind of like, another analogy I would use for like redoing things. It's like once you become an adult, you can't really go back and relive your childhood. You can have a second childhood and you can enjoy toys that you didn't have a chance to when you were a kid. People can do that. That's more of a thing nowadays. But you can't go back to being 12 when your biggest responsibility was your homework versus now when your biggest responsibility is making sure food's on the table and your rent gets paid. Or maybe even if you're responsible for another human by chance. You can't really go back and live that way. You know what I mean? There's certain things you just can't go back and do, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure that maybe there'll be comments to the contrary, but in my opinion, you can't go back to being 12 and where your biggest concern is, getting your homework done. You can't do that. It's just, I don't think it's feasible. It just doesn't seem realistic. When that happens, though, and people want to do that, they're saying just hold back and just wait for it to pass. Let them tell you what they want to tell you, but you keep planning for what's next, not for what somebody's hoping for. In fact, maybe if you can distance yourself from that, just keep moving forward, keep planning for what's actually next, but don't hold too much to the backing up thing. Keep moving forward while other people are contemplating going backwards, because it doesn't seem like it's really feasible. It doesn't make sense. It's going to annoy you. I mean, obviously that's going to be annoying, but because you're planning to continue and people are looking backwards and trying to redo something that can't be really redone. It's not really feasible. It's just, I keep getting like it's not feasible. It's just not feasible. It just keeps repeating in my head. Yep, the strength, the strength, and then the 10 of Wands. Be careful what you say at this time. Let them drown themselves out, because I feel like the more you kind of like try to get them to move forward, the more energy they just put fighting that. Let them drown themselves out. Let them tire themselves out. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know what analogy you want to use for that. Just let them tire themselves out. Let them be. You go forward with what you need to go forward with. Wait for the appropriate moment and just keep going. Because this situation will solidify again and it will continue on to the next stage. And you'll be the one who actually solidified it and helped it move forward. It will rejoin back where it needs to. This little hiccup thing, I just feel like it's less impactful if you just kind of step back from it and don't really give it too much lip service. Because I just feel like even talking about it seems wasteful. It's like once you realize they're trying to go back and do something that's kind of like, you can't go back to being a 12-year-old. You just can't do it. There's so much going on. Your body's doing so many things. Life is so much different. You just can't go back and do it. If they want to do that and spend their time considering how they could do that, once you see them doing that, just step away, let them do it. Let's say, all right, you sort out what you're going to do. I'm going to go over here. And then you just keep, you might have to very quietly, maybe even secretly, just keep planning for what you're going to do next. And then when they finally get on board and they're like, all right, I don't think that's going to work. I'm ready to move forward. You're going to already have the plan ready to go. And you're like, well, here's what I think we should do. And then we'll just keep going. And then we just kind of just leave it where it was. There's nothing that's, I don't know, I just feel like it's wasted time is what I'm seeing. It also might be, I think, it feels like a filibuster, which from my understanding, a filibuster is somebody purposely wasting time just to slow things up, for whatever that's worth. Because I feel like that's this big question mark of why, but like we could go in circles trying to figure out why, but I feel like that's another version of a filibuster. Why bother? Because it's just going to lead you in more circles. If you want to do that, but I feel like the answer is not going to make you happy anyway, so you do what you got to do. Is that it? All right. So I feel like they're saying like, just don't let yourself get aggravated with that, which may be a challenge, but like definitely don't put any effort into that whole conversation trying to convince somebody not to go backwards. Again, I feel like it might be more of a, I'm starting to think it's more of a game than anything else. And if you just don't play the game, then that's that, right? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below with the same email. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.